This question had many aspects to it.
嚟緊呢條問題有好多唔同層次。
But it said basically, okay, you've got the flood and all of this earthquake and volcanic activity.
基本上你提過有洪水、地震、火山活動
and tsunami activity.
仲有海嘯。
I don't think I mentioned tsunami, but that's actually a reasonable thought.
其實我都冇提過海嘯，但係呢個都係一個好合理嘅講法。
So how could the people survive with all the air pollution and everything?
啲人點樣喺空氣污染等等嘅情況之下生還呢？
Well, the flood, God could have taken people and animals and put them on a cloud, couldn't he?
其實喺洪水嘅時候，神可以將啲人同埋動物擺喺雲上邊咪得咯。
But he didn't do that.
但係佢冇咁做喎。
He chose to use as much as possible
佢選擇用一切可能嘅方法。
the natural laws of flotation and, wood floating and things like that.
大自然定律裏邊嘅浮力，例如靠木頭等等。
But clearly, some aspects of the flood had to be miraculous.
但係好明顯地，喺洪水裏面有啲事情係好神蹟性嘅。
You don't have one pair of animals from all over the world coming by themselves.
你唔會有一對對嘅動物喺世界各地自己走嚟。
But there is a principle in the Bible which you could call the economy of miracle.
聖經裏邊有一個原則，你可以叫佢做神蹟嘅經濟學。
For example, when Jesus raised his friend Lazarus from the dead,
例如耶穌令拉撒路復活，
he could have had the grave open itself.
佢可以叫個墳墓自己打開。
He could have unwrapped the body by itself.
佢可以叫啲裹屍布自己鬆開。
But he didn't. He told people to do all that.
但係佢冇咁做，佢叫啲人幫佢做。
But he supplied something that no natural process could provide.
佢提供咗一啲自然定律唔可以提供嘅嘢。
In the same way, we can see that the ark was constructed to be as stable as possible.
同樣地，我哋睇到方舟被建造到有咁穩陣，得咁穩陣。
But it's still obvious that it would have needed some sort of special protection.
但係好明顯地，方舟都需要一啲特別嘅保護。
There is actually a verse that says in Genesis that God remembered Noah and all those with him in the ark.
其實喺創世記裏邊有一節提到，神紀念挪亞同方舟裏邊所有嘅動物。
Now, of course, God never forgets anything.
咁當然啦，神唔會忘記任何嘢啦。
So that implies some sort of a special care.
咁呢度就表示神俾一啲特別嘅看顧佢哋啦。
But in any case, things may not have been as physically toxic as it seems.
但係呢個情況唔係好似我哋睇到咁大嘅毒害。
Because many of the eruptions were underwater.
因為有好多嘅火山爆發都係喺海底裏邊。
And there would have been a huge mix of environments.
佢哋可能會係喺一個好大而多種嘅情況環境之下。
Such that one part of the world might have massive hurricane activity.
可能喺地球嘅一面會有一個好大嘅颶風。
At the same time as other parts are dead calm.
同時間喺另一個部分就風平浪靜。
There are some very highly qualified scientists.
有啲好高認受性嘅科學家
modeling some of these things on supercomputers.
喺個超級電腦裏邊模擬呢個情況。
But there are so many factors involved
但係有太多嘅因素包含喺裏邊，
that it becomes very hard to have any certainty.
所以好難會有一個好肯定嘅答案。
But let me just mention tsunamis and I'll wind up shortly.
等我提一提海嘯，然後我就會答完呢個問題。
Because when we think of tsunami, we see this massive wave rushing in and doing all this damage.
因為我哋想到海嘯，就會諗起好大嘅浪湧過嚟，造成好多嘅損壞。
But in fact, that only happens as a tsunami approaches the shore.
呢個情況就係只係海嘯接近岸邊嘅時候先會發生。
At the time of the 2004 Sumatra tsunami,
喺2004年嘅南亞海嘯，
if you had been in an ocean liner on the deep sea,
如果你係喺深海裏邊，
and you were right in the path of the tsunami,
同埋你係喺海嘯經過嘅路徑，
you would hardly have noticed it.
你係唔會察覺得到嘅。
It would have been a wave about that high.
個浪就只係得咁高啫。